What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
The Spanish in the Caribbean were using pretext to continue seizing English vessels coming in and out of Jamaica and other ports.
What was the basis of that war?
Ultimately, all these colonial wars of the late 17th are about trying to nudge each other out of the way for control of the spoils of the emerging imperial systems they had, right? But the War of Spanish Succession that drove them to fight each other was literally
Henry Jennings and Benjamin Hornigold. How did they end up in Nassau?
They're kind of the co-founders and rival founders of the Pirate Republic in Nassau. So that war ended, the War of Spanish Succession. You had all these people who, for various reasons, might want to become pirates. And some of them wound up in the Bahamas and Nassau. And one of the early ones was Benjamin Hornigold, arrived there with some of these periaguas, these canoes I described. He had 3 great big ones in a crew. You know, Blackbeard might have been with him at the time before he was known as Blackbeard. And they were operating out of Nassau. Why were they operating out of Nassau? Because during the War of Spanish Succession, the French and Spanish had sacked the English colony of the Bahamas twice and pretty much obliterated. It was a failed colony. The fort was damaged. There's no imperial authorities there whatsoever. These early pirates, Hornigold and others, arrived there before England bothered to send somebody to govern the place again. They moved in first. They're the ones who started shoring up the fort to defend the harbor and make it impossible to remove them. So the pirates moved into a failed colony and kind of took over the infrastructure and repaired it. Hornigold was one of the ones who did that, and he got there early and was sort of he'd been a privateer previously, and he had a lot of gumption, a lot of reservations about attacking English ships. He was like, "Oh, it's cool. Let's go keep attacking the Spanish. You know, we just fought a war with them. We don't like them, but we're not going to attack English ships and ships from our own country," and that would create friction later on. But he was kind of, he had a sort of moral compass about what he was doing. He was trying to continue operating as a privateer. And the people under him tended to have a little bit more of a pirate honor code than some of the people who served under Jennings. Jennings shows up later. Jennings is from a wealthier background. He had some kind of plantation or farm on Jamaica. He'd been a merchant captain and a privateering captain prior and during the War of Spanish Succession. And was, worth a fair bit of money at the time, was a respectable person in Jamaica.
Guys, if you'd like to join our Patreon by hitting the link in the description below, not only does it support our show and allow us to get great guests like this and put out more content, but you're going to get exclusive access to the Julian and Alessi show, which is the show we post only on Patreon. That's with my producer, Alessi Alaman, and I, as well as some behind-the-scenes content and some extra content with guests. So hit that link in the description below, and I hope to see you over there. Did he have family lineage to power structures in the UK?
Not that we know of. I mean, what we were able to put together from the surviving documents is that he had an estate that was worth quite a bit. He shows up in merchant shipping records and customs records, and sometimes in the accounts in the only newspaper that was around in North America at the time. Respectable and successful merchant captain, upward bourgeoisie. And Jamaica was the most important and wealthiest English colony in the Caribbean. That was the base of the Royal Navy's fleet. That was where all the kind of money was. That was the chunkiest colony in the English Empire, and he was there. So he's, a very successful colonial, upper middle class sort of person, if you want to try to use today's terms on it. And he's involved in a political struggle. Right. On top of all of this other stuff I've talked about, there was a subset of pirates, including Jennings, who weren't the downtrodden masses I just described, right? Jennings is a pretty respectable figure. He's got an estate. He's got plenty to lose. What's he doing with all these disgruntled proles, right? What's up with that? And there's a number of them, right? Palsgrave Williams of Rhode Island, who Sam Bellamy's sidekick and becomes a pirate captain and commodore himself, was the son of Rhode Island's Attorney General. Well, maybe that's not a total surprise, but his mother was descended from the Plantagenet kings of England, right? And he's in there on the piracy. There's all,
a little corruption in Rhode Island politics? Come on.
Perish the thought. But this gang of people, including Jennings, were involved in a political struggle that was going on because at the end of the War of Spanish Succession, the monarch at the time, Queen Anne, died. And this created a problem in England because during her reign, England had passed laws that said no Catholic can rise to the throne of England. We're going to be good Protestants now. And Anne didn't have any handy Protestant relatives right around. Her brother, who would logically have been the person to succeed her, was Catholic and therefore was cut out of it. And so they started looking around, vice president? No. Speaker of the House? No. They had to work their way down to like the deputy undersecretary of agriculture and the pecking order of who was going to succeed to the throne. They found some German princeling who was a distant relative of hers, who didn't speak English and wasn't particularly interested in it, never been to England. You're going to become George of Hanover. You're going to come back here and become King of England, creating the Hanoverian line that's, still on the throne today.
Isn't it fascinating, though, like on this, how the English throne currently, the old German thrones before Hitler, and the Russian thrones are all Germans?
I think the Habsburgs, and they're, yes, but all of the royals of that time period in Europe were all interrelated. It's one extended cousinage,
weird.
Right? Which is how you end up with all these. Right? You're trying to, if you're the aristocracy and money is inherited and title is inherited, if you want to keep your resources within your family and keep your legacy going, you got to have all these strategic marriages with other people of your station. Right. Well, if your cousins are the only other people with your social rank, then who else are you going to go to, right? Yeah. So you end up with this inbreeding that leads to the fall of the Spanish monarchy, essentially, because, the guy who assumes the throne at this time period is, cognitively very disabled, like he's ordered his parents taken out of their tombs and is having tea with them. And things got really bad.
Wait, they can't say no to him, I guess. Nice.
One of the many reasons that hereditary monarchy has some weakness as a form of government. Yeah. So, and in this case, it did as well because a lot of people didn't like the idea that George of Hanover was going to become king. They felt that, some people or divine right enthusiasts were like, no, you can't just pass a law that God wants the next person in this family to, James should be the king, not George. And other people, the Catholics, were like, this is an outrage to Catholics. Hey, why are you cutting us out? We were the church before Henry VIII came along. But also Scots, including Scots lords, because at this time period, the Stuarts, James Stuart was the one who would have gotten the throne if he wasn't cut out because he was Catholic. The Stuarts had simultaneously inherited the thrones of England and Scotland, and that had led to a union. Since the same person had inherited both thrones, they said, why don't we become a united kingdom?
Ooh,
the United Kingdom of England and Scotland and Wales. That had just happened in 1707 is when the United Kingdom was created by the Treaty of Union.
That's right. That's
just before this.
Yeah.
7-8 years before this, right?
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.